did you hear Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football say he's this Amon-Ra St. Brown guy? Here's a guy. No, but he said he's kind of Cooper Cup-ish. Amon-Ra St. Brown was so, unbelievable this year. 106 catches, 1,100 yards. I'm a Gabe Davis centrist, and I think that was the right take. I think that was the complete right take to be a Gabe Davis centrist.
Look at the release.
There's your separation.
Great route.
Stutter and go. Gets by clean.
That is unbelievable.
Maybe the greatest catch I've ever seen.
If you just bet on talent at wide receiver this year, if you just bet on like the overall reception perception data and shut out like the projection models or this team's pass rate or expected pass rate or this team's quarterback for something, like, you honestly, if you bet on truly great elite talent, you won most of your bets, and that was certainly the case with both Devontae and Tyreek.
I would say that you applied that idea, that model, to Amon-Ra St. Brown. And you know me, I was extremely high on Amon-Ra last year, but even coming into 2022, I was not even as high on him as you were. He was certainly one of your players that you absolutely nailed the eval.
Yo, did you hear Chris Collinsworth on Sunday Night Football say he's this Amon-Ra St. Brown guy? Here's a guy. No, but he said he's kind of Cooper Cup-ish. Did you hear him say that?
I did. That was awesome, man.
I was like, hey, I've been making that comp since before he was even drafted, Amon-Ra St. Brown. So we've officially gone mainstream with the Bud Light Cooper Cup. No longer is Amon-Ra St. Brown Bud Light Cooper Cup. That was the old comp, because it's no disrespect to Bud Light and the real hardworking Americans who drink Bud Light, but he is just Cooper Cup-ish. He's in that axis of player right now, is Amon-Ra St. Brown. So the comp has officially gone mainstream. Was great to see Chris Collinsworth say that. But yeah, I mean, St. Brown was definitely and again, it seems crazy to say this now because Amon-Ra St. Brown was so, unbelievable this year. What he ended up being, again, just full season numbers, was wide receiver 7 in fantasy, 106 catches, 1,100 yards, whatever. He was awesome. But like, go back to the offseason debates about like he only produced but everybody else was hurt and blah blah blah. There was so much of that noise, but when you just looked at his reception perception data and the ability to beat zone coverage and the routes that he was most successful on, that stuff was, the talent was all absolutely there. And targets are still earned. I mean, I know that it's not always applicable, but for the most part, like, the guys are getting targets because they're good at football. Amon-Ra St. Brown, good at football. That was definitely a big W this year. I said so many times in the offseason, I'm a Gabe Davis centrist, and I think that was the right take. I think that was the complete right take, to be a Gabe Davis centrist. Davis ends up finishing the year, and obviously we know he didn't play as many games as everybody else because the Buffalo literally had a game canceled. 14 games for Gabe Davis. He was wide receiver 35. But when you really look under the hood of Gabe Davis's season this year, he had, and I don't ever like to do that, well, if you take away this one play or this one game or whatever, then his season. But Davis had the 6 catches, 171 yards, and 2 touchdowns, including a 98-yard touchdown against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that was really, like, in terms of a blow-up performance, because that was always the talk with Davis, was like, well, if he's the weeks he might not always be consistent, but the weeks he pops, he's gonna really pop. It's like, not really. That was his 100-yard game. He had 93 yards and a touchdown, was his other big game against the Vikings. He had an 88-yard game and a touchdown, but those are his only 3 games over 80 yards all year. Were those 3 games. So and look, I think that RP data, this is why I said I was a Gabe Davis centrist, because the RP data didn't show like Gabe Davis sucked or he was a sub NFL, like an XFL player or something like that, but it showed he was a limited player that could win deep, that could win on like post route, corner routes, 9 routes, but was not a full field separator. And it's like, why didn't he get those targets? Because he doesn't get open. Like, in the consistent areas of the field, he doesn't get open. He's not that type of separator. He's not a legit number 2 receiver. I think he's like more of a 3, a guy that could rip you vertically, stuff like that. So yeah, he's, again, it's always tough with these guys who don't separate. getting them to be consistent, getting them to, see a ton of targets. And like everything, the playing time was always there with Gabe Davis. Like the routes per drop back, he led the team in routes and snaps for most of the season. So
yeah.
But it was a problem area for Buffalo all year. Like the fact that they had just Stephon Diggs and nobody else out there, Gabe Davis, like being out there was kind of a problem. So for fantasy, like being a centrist on Gabe Davis, I think was the right take all along.
Yeah, Gabe Davis played about 90% of the snaps all year long. Some games he played 98, 99% or whatever it was. Averaged 6.2 targets on the season, just 3.2 receptions and 55 yards per game, and 7 total touchdowns, although there probably should be 8 because Josh Allen threw an absolute dime there in week 18 that he just flat out dropped. By the way, speaking of
that was a huge problem for Davis all year was dropping.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yes. 100%.
He's got 100%. Bad hands.
He had 3 catches on 10 targets there in week 18. He and Deontay Johnson were just, what is going on in week 18 with these guys? They can't catch the ball. It was crazy. But yeah, no, in overall on the season, Matt, 55.7, a 51% catch rate for Gabe Davis. I know part of it is the routes that he runs. I just wonder maybe Buffalo would be better served to kind of feed him a couple of more layup throws than everything so far downfield. I don't know. 51% catch rate to me is not that's not functional. You know what I mean? You can't be a number 2 wide receiver on that team and have a 51% catch rate. That's so inefficient. That's not good.
Well, it would be good if he got open on some of those layup routes. That would be helpful in terms of getting the targets on the layup routes. Yeah. That would be helpful.